Okay, so here I have 5-4 of hearts in the low jack. And this guy with 1198, he raises to 40 cents. He's been really active in rate. I mean, his frequency of raising has been a little uh, over the top. So, and I just don't think he has a good hand that often. So I decide to just call and hope that nobody raises behind. He's got 30 times my call, and 5-4 suited is a good hand. So I just went for it. I think it's a hand that can stack somebody, and maybe I'll be able to stack him, or not stack him, but double up with what I've got, and that's a pretty good flop. And because he's been so active, I don't think he has to have a king. He could actually have a seven. Maybe he has a seven, or I don't know what he has, but he definitely doesn't have to have a king because he's been so active. So I decide to just try and take the pot right now. I do a min raise, and I try to take the pot, and that doesn't work as he calls. But I still, don't really. I mean, I've got a great draw, so that's really why I did that, because I could hit a flush, but he ends up, calling, and then a king comes, and he checks again, and now I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm going to represent that I've got, why can't I have a king? I called his raise. It's easy for me to have a king. So that's what I do, and I try to bet an amount that I'm looking for value, and he insta folds, so it works. I think the critical part there was on the turn when he checked to me, and I bet the $1.40. If he calls there, then I think he's got a king. I put him on maybe queens or jacks or tens, or maybe jack 10 or something like that. He was a non-believer when I raised him on the flop. But when that king came, I think at this level, the king is actually good for him if he had queens or something. Makes it less likely that I actually have a king. But this is 5 cent, 10 cent. And I don't think in general people think like that. And he would need to stay the course and have to call a bet if he was to call my $1.40 bet. And at that point, I probably would have given up and not tried again, because I'm too chicken to bet like $3 or $4 on the river. If the river doesn't come a heart, and I have to represent in order to take down the pot, because I'm thinking that then I'd be thinking that he has a king. So that's what happened on that particular hand. Now I pick up Queen Jack suited under the gun. I like this hand. Suited connecting Broadway cards is nice. And I raised a 30 under the gun. And I'm perfectly happy just to take down the blinds if possible. I'm also happy seeing a flop. If somebody behind me raises to, I would say $1, I'm folding. Even maybe 90 cents, I'm going to fold. Well, maybe not. It depends, especially if it's somebody who I have position on, then I'm probably going to see a flop. But if the cutoff or the button raises significantly, I'm probably going to fold. But they don't, which is good. And then I know I got action here, so one of these two guys called. Small blind called. So queen, king, he checks to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to continuation bet for sure. and then he ends up calling that continuation bet. And now I'm thinking, okay, well, I could easily have two pair. I could have whatever he's got, which I hope isn't Jack 10. I do block Jack 10. But he could still have it, I'm basically putting him on a flush draw right now. And I think that was 50 cents. Yeah, I bet 50 cents there. And if he's on a flush draw, when I bet that 50 cents, I'm giving him 7-2 odds. So he needs to have 22% equity in the pot, and he's only got 18%. So I think that's a bad call if he was on spades. But now that the queen comes, when the queen comes on the river, I'm thinking that now I'm trying to target hands that he might have played that way, and I'm thinking pocket jacks, pocket tens, pocket nines, something like that. I think if he had a king, he would have raised on the flop. He would have check raised on the flop. So I don't know what he has, during the hand. I know what he has now because I looked it up, and you'll see that coming right now. And I discussed it a little more as well. My opponent's hand on that last one. And on the river, when I was deciding how much to bet, I was trying to get a call from pocket jacks or pocket tens or pocket nines, thinking they were like non-believing during the hand. I've got a jack, so pocket jacks are unlikely, but I still think that those were possible. Those are the hands that I was targeting. But it turns out he had ace 10. So he outdrew me on the turn, and I re-outdrew him on the river. So I think that's interesting. I think on the turn that he probably should have check raised me. And I think I probably would have folded because there's two overcards to my pair of queens. And, but I don't know what he has. He doesn't know what I have. So it's risky no matter what. But I think that might have been a good play for him. I mean, it would have worked in this particular instance, but it's hard to know what to do. But just some observations I made. I thought you'd find them interesting. Okay, so here I pick up Jack 10 offsuit, another hand that I like. And it's folded to me, so I raise to 30 cents. And I'm happy with that. The button re-raises to 90 cents. I'm not happy with that, but Jack 10 is a special hand, and the big blind calls that. So between them, they got like $17. And that's all in play because they both have me covered. So I go ahead and call, and I flop a gut shot to the nuts and two overcards, minus the 9 of hearts. I guess I wouldn't have the nuts if the 9 of hearts comes. And it's check to the button. He bets 86 cents. And, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, and 86 cents, 86 times 5 is $4.30. So I'm basically getting 5 to 1. So I need 16% equity. And I think I'm going to be able to, there's some implied odds there that I'll be able to bet again if I happen to hit the 9. And I don't think that these guys are folding, or at least not the button. But it doesn't come, and the big blind bets 2, and I just fold at that point. It's just not, I don't think it's worth it to continue. And the other guy raises all in and the big blind folds. So that was sort of uh, trash, I guess. I'm not sure if I played that hand good. I think I did, but it cost me a little bit of money. And then the very next hand, I get pocket aces, which I'm super happy to get, and I'm hoping to get as much action as possible, always. So, and the small blind calls, and then the big blind raises to, I think he raised to $1.40. Let me make sure before I continue talking. Yeah, he raised to $1.40, and I'm like, oh, right on. Now I'm thinking, well, I want to re-raise, but I'm actually trying to get the small blind to just shove all in with my re-raise. If he calls, I want him to just to shove, because he's only got 476 left. And I'm hoping that the the under the gun guy, or no, he's the big blind in this hand. I'm hoping that he would shove as well, but that didn't happen. The small blind just called, really surprising, leaving him 226, so leaving himself like a 1/3 pot size bet. And now he checks the flop, and the big blind bets 399, and that's a great. That's a great. I don't like the diamonds, but that's a great flop. I'm super happy with that flop. And he, the small blind got out of the way, but now the big blind bets or checks, and I'm thinking, well, I actually shouldn't have been thinking, because I've got like 1/10 pot size bet left. I should have just stuck it in, but I was thinking, well, I've got the nut flush draw, and I don't want to chase him away, and I want to be able to realize my equity if a diamond comes, and I was thinking all of those things at that time, and it probably wasn't necessary, but I ended up checking behind on the turn, hoping to induce if a good card comes, and a good card did come. A deuce came, and I did induce. He decided to bet enough to put me all in, and I called, and I took it down. So I'm happy with how I played the hand. I think I should have been more aware of stack sizes and PSBs, pot-sized bets, to have put it all in on the turn. But I'm happy with the result, and I'm happy with the way I played it.